Tech billionaire Elon Musk stormed off The Late Show with Stephen Colbert last night, after a friendly interview spiraled into a heated exchange of insults. What began as typical late-night banter quickly turned ugly when Colbert's jokes hit too close to home, ending with Musk ripping off his microphone and leaving the stunned audience in silence. The lights of The Late Show studio sparkled as the audience cheered. It was supposed to be just another Tuesday night of laughs and celebrity chit-chat on one of America's favorite late-night shows. The band played their usual upbeat tune as host Stephen Colbert danced onto the stage in his sharp navy suit, flashing his signature smile. "Tonight we have a very special guest," Colbert announced, his voice rising with excitement. "He's the man who wants to put people on Mars, make us all drive electric cars, and apparently buy every social media platform that exists. Please welcome the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk." The audience applauded as Musk walked onto the stage, dressed in a plain black t-shirt and jeans. He gave an awkward wave and sat down across from Colbert, looking a bit nervous but smiling. "Welcome back to the show, Elon," Colbert said warmly, settling into his chair. "It's been a while since we've had you here." "Thanks for having me," Musk replied. "Always good to be here." The interview started normally enough. They talked about SpaceX's recent rocket launch and the newest Tesla model. Musk even shared a funny story about his kids playing with toy rockets. The audience laughed, and for the first 15 minutes, everything seemed fine. But then the conversation took a turn. "So, Elon," Colbert said, leaning forward with a mischievous grin, "I've been following your social media posts lately. It seems like you've been busy tweeting at 3 a.m. about, well, everything under the sun." Musk chuckled, but it sounded forced. "Yeah, I don't sleep much." "Clearly," Colbert replied. "But here's what I'm wondering. Do you have anyone who reads these tweets before you post them? Like maybe someone who could say, 'Hey boss, maybe don't post that conspiracy theory at 3 in the morning.'" The audience laughed, but Musk's smile faded slightly. He shifted in his seat. "I say what I think," Musk said with a shrug. "People can take it or leave it." "Oh, they're definitely taking it," Colbert said. "And leaving with it, and making memes about it." He turned to the audience. "Have you guys seen some of these? They're hilarious." The screen behind them lit up with a collection of internet memes making fun of Musk's social media posts. The audience roared with laughter, but Musk's face grew visibly darker. "Let's talk about something else," Musk suggested, his voice tight. Sure," Colbert agreed, but the glint in his eyes suggested he wasn't done yet. "How about we talk about that robot you unveiled last year? The one that fell over during the presentation? What was it called again?" "Oh, right, Optimus." Musk's jaw clenched. "It was an early prototype. These things take time to develop." "Of course they do," Colbert said, nodding sympathetically. "I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, and apparently neither was a robot that can walk across a stage without face planting." The audience laughed again, louder this time. Musk forced a smile, but anyone watching closely could see he was getting annoyed. "Speaking of failures," Colbert continued, seeming to miss or ignore the warning signs, "let's talk about that Cybertruck window demonstration. You know, the one where you were showing how unbreakable the windows were, and then—" He mimicked the sound of glass breaking. "That was unfortunate timing," Musk said stiffly. "The door impacts weakened the glass structure before the demonstration." Sure, Colbert said, waving his hand dismissively. "And I'm sure there's also a very good explanation for why the Cybertruck looks like something my 10-year-old nephew would draw if I asked him to design a car from the future." The audience gasped, and then burst into laughter. Musk's face flushed red. "You know what?" Musk said, his voice rising slightly. "Design is subjective. The Cybertruck is revolutionary. It's different because it's meant to be different." "It's definitely different," Colbert agreed with exaggerated enthusiasm. Just like your tunnel system that was supposed to solve traffic but is basically just a one-lane tunnel with fancy lights. Very different approach to a problem that already had solutions. Musk's eyes narrowed dangerously. The tension in the studio was becoming palpable. The audience's laughter grew uncomfortable. My companies have done more to advance sustainable energy and space exploration than anyone else, Musk said firmly. It's easy to sit there and make jokes, but we're actually trying to solve real problems. Like Twitter's problem of not having enough conspiracy theories? Colbert shot back. Because you certainly solved that one. The audience made a collective ooh sound. This was getting serious. You know what, Stephen, Musk said, sitting up straighter. I came here to have a friendly conversation, not to be insulted. Come on, Elon, it's just jokes, Colbert said, but his tone had an edge to it now. That's what we do here. We make jokes. Sometimes they're about failed robot demonstrations and weird-looking trucks. And sometimes they're about late-night hosts who think they're smarter than they actually are, Musk fired back. The audience fell silent. The cameraman zoomed in on Colbert's face, which showed surprise at the sudden counterattack. Wow, Colbert said after a moment, adjusting his idea. Sounds like someone can dish it out but can't take it. I can take fair criticism, Musk replied. What I can't take is someone who has no idea what they're talking about making cheap shots for easy laughs. The tension was now thick enough to cut with a knife. The producers were probably freaking out backstage, but the cameras kept rolling. This was live television at its most unpredictable. No idea what I'm talking about? Colbert repeated, raising an eyebrow. I think I understand enough to know that buying Twitter for way too much money and then running it into the ground might not have been your smartest business move. Musk's face darkened further. You want to talk smart moves? How about we talk about your ratings? I heard they're not exactly stellar these days, the audience gasped. This was getting personal, fast. Colbert's smile turned brittle. At least I didn't lose billions of dollars in a single day because I couldn't keep my thoughts to myself. At least I'm actually building things that matter for the future of humanity, Musk shot back. What are you doing besides making unfunny jokes on late-night TV? The bandleader looked nervously at the producer, who was making frantic, cut-to-commercial gestures from the side of the stage. But before they could break, Colbert delivered one more jab. You know what, Elon? For a guy who wants to save humanity, you sure spend a lot of time tweeting instead of actually saving it. Maybe if you focused more on your companies and less on being an internet troll, some of your big promises would actually come true. The audience fell completely silent. No one knew how to react. This had gone far beyond the usual playful banter of late-night television. Musk's face went from red to white. He stared at Colbert for a long moment, his expression unreadable. The tension in the studio was unbearable. Everyone waited to see what would happen next, and then without warning, Musk reached for his microphone clip. With one swift motion, he ripped the small black device from his shirt and slammed it down on the desk between them. The sound echoed through the suddenly silent studio. I'm done with this, Musk declared, his voice shaking with anger. I didn't come here to be your punching bag. Colbert's eyes widened in surprise. This wasn't the first time a guest had gotten upset with his jokes, but no one had ever reacted quite like this before. For a moment he seemed unsure how to respond. Whoa, let's take it down a notch, Colbert said, holding up his hands. It's just a comedy show, Elon. Is it? Musk fired back, standing up from his chair. Because it feels more like a personal attack. You're not making jokes about my work. You're mocking the things I've dedicated my life to. The audience watched in stunned silence. The cameramen exchanged nervous glances but kept filming. This was the kind of unscripted drama that would have everyone talking tomorrow. Look, if I went too far, Colbert began, but Musk cut him off. Too far? You haven't even begun to understand what too far means, Musk said, his voice growing louder. Do you have any idea what it takes to build rockets that can land themselves? To create an electric car company when everyone said it would fail? To try to push humanity forward? Colbert's expression hardened. The initial shock was wearing off, and now he seemed irritated by Musk's outburst. "Actually, I do understand what it takes to create something," Colbert replied coolly. "I've built this show from nothing. And part of having a public platform is accepting that people will criticize you, sometimes with jokes." "Criticism is fine," Musk snapped. "What you're doing is different. You're sitting in your comfortable chair, reading jokes someone else wrote for you, making fun of people who are actually trying to solve real problems." The audience gasped. This was getting ugly fast. "First of all," Colbert said, his voice taking on an edge, "I write a lot of my own material. And second, are you seriously suggesting that sending a car into space was solving real problems?" Musk's face flushed deeper. "That was a test payload that got people excited about space again. But I wouldn't expect you to understand the bigger picture." "Oh, I understand the picture perfectly," Colbert shot back. "It's just that sometimes the picture looks like a publicity stunt with a cherry-red sports car." Someone in the audience let out a nervous laugh, quickly stifled. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. "You know what your problem is, Stephen?" Musk said, leaning forward. "You think you're so clever with your little jokes and your smug attitude. But at the end of the day, what have you actually done? Made people laugh at others?" "Congratulations." Colbert's jaw tightened. "What I do every night is try to help people make sense of the world through humor. Sometimes that means pointing out when powerful billionaires might be overpromising and under-delivering." "Overpromising?" Musk repeated, his voice rising. "We've launched more rockets than any private company in history. We've built the best-selling electric car. We've revolutionized solar energy storage. What exactly have I not delivered on?" "How about those robot taxis you promised would be on the road by 2020? Colbert fired back. "Or that brain chip that was going to cure everything from blindness to depression? Or those solar roof tiles that were supposed to be cheaper than regular roofs? Should I keep going?" The producer was frantically signaling from offstage now, drawing his finger across his throat in the universal cut signal. But it was too late. Both men were too caught up in the argument to stop. "Those things are all still happening," Musk insisted, his voice growing louder. "Innovation takes time. But I wouldn't expect someone like you to understand that. It's so much easier to sit back and criticize than to actually build something." "Someone like me," Colbert repeated, his eyebrows shooting up. "What exactly does that mean?" "It means someone who's never had to actually create anything real," Musk said dismissively. "Someone who just talks and talks but never has to deliver anything concrete." The audience collectively drew in their breath. This was going beyond a simple disagreement now. It was getting personal in a way that rarely happened on television. "Never had to deliver anything concrete?" Colbert echoed, standing up from his desk. "I deliver a show to millions of people every single night. I've written books. I've created characters. I've built a platform that matters to people." "A platform you use to tear others down," Musk shot back. "Very impressive." Colbert's face was reddening now too. "I don't tear people down. I hold them accountable. There's a difference." "Is there?" Musk challenged. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're just another entertainer who thinks being funny gives you the right to be cruel. And you're just another billionaire who thinks having money makes you above criticism," Colbert retorted. The band leader played a few awkward notes, trying to lighten the mood, but both men ignored him. "I welcome real criticism," Musk insisted. "What I don't welcome is cheap shots from someone who doesn't understand the first thing about what I do." "Oh, I understand plenty," Colbert said. "I understand that you make big promises to pump up your stock price. I understand that you call people names on social media when they disagree with you. And I understand that for all your talk about saving humanity, you seem more interested in your public image than actually helping people." That was it. The final straw. Musk's face went completely white, then red again. His hands balled into fists at his sides. "You have no idea what you're talking about," he said, his voice dangerously quiet. "No idea at all." "Then educate me, Elon," Colbert challenged, spreading his arms wide. "Tell me which part I got wrong." "All of it," Musk exploded. "Every single word. You think my companies are just about my ego? Do you have any idea how many people are working day and night to make electric cars affordable? To make space travel possible for humanity's future? To create sustainable energy solutions? I think those people are doing great work," Colbert said. "I just wonder if they wouldn't do even better work with a different person at the top. Someone who spends less time tweeting and more time leading." The audience let out another collective gasp. This was beyond anything they'd ever seen on The Late Show before. The producer was practically having a meltdown off stage, but the cameras kept rolling, capturing every second of the explosive exchange. Musk stared at Colbert for a long moment, his breathing heavy. Then he shook his head slowly. "You know what? I can't do this," he said finally. "I can't sit here and be insulted by someone who has no idea what he's talking about." He turned to the audience, who sat in stunned silence. "This is what passes for intelligent discourse in America today," Musk announced, gesturing toward Colbert. "Mock what you don't understand. Make fun of people who are actually trying to make a difference. Well, I'm not going to be part of it." And, with those words, Musk turned on his heel and started walking toward the exit. "Elon, wait!" Colbert called after him. But Musk didn't stop. He marched straight toward the exit, his back stiff and his head held high. The studio was eerily quiet. No one in the audience made a sound. The band had stopped playing. Even the cameramen seemed frozen in place, their equipment still rolling, to capture this unprecedented moment. Colbert looked genuinely shocked. This wasn't how interviews on The Late Show were supposed to end. He stood behind his desk watching as one of the most famous CEOs in the world walked off his set in the middle of a live broadcast. "We'll be right back after this break," Colbert said weakly to the camera, trying to maintain some semblance of professionalism. But before the director could cut to commercial, something unexpected happened. As Musk reached the exit door, he paused. For a moment it seemed like he might turn around. The audience held their breath. Instead, Musk turned back just enough to deliver one final message. "You know what the difference is between us, Stephen?" he said, his voice clear in the silent studio. "When I fail, I learn from it and try again. When you fail, you make jokes about other people's failures to feel better about your own." With that, he pushed open the door and disappeared backstage, leaving a stunned Colbert and an equally stunned audience behind. The show cut to commercial, but the damage was done. The explosive interview was already spreading across social media. Clips of the heated exchange were being uploaded, shared, and commented on by thousands of people within minutes. Backstage, chaos erupted. Producers rushed after Musk, trying to calm him down. Staff members huddled around monitors, watching the footage with expressions of disbelief. This kind of raw, unfiltered confrontation was unheard of on a carefully produced show like The Late Show. Musk ignored the producers' pleas to reconsider and stormed through the backstage area toward the exit. His security team scrambled to keep up with him as he pushed through the doors and headed for his car. Meanwhile, Colbert sat in his dressing room during the commercial break, his tie loosened and his face pale. This wasn't the first time he'd had a tense moment with a guest, but it was certainly the most public and dramatic one. "Stephen, we're back on in 2 minutes," a producer said, poking her head into the room. Colbert nodded and took a deep breath. The show had to go on. He straightened his tie, ran a hand through his hair, and put on his professional face again. But anyone looking closely could see that he was rattled. When the show returned from commercial break, Colbert addressed the elephant in the room immediately. "So, that happened," he said, and a nervous chuckle rippled through the audience. I think it's safe to say that was not how I expected tonight's interview to go. But here at The Late Show, we believe in having real conversations, even when they get uncomfortable. And sometimes, well, things get heated. He paused, looking more serious than his audience was used to seeing him. I want to say something, though. While Mr. Musk and I clearly have our differences, I have enormous respect for the innovation his companies have brought to the world. And if my comments came across as dismissive of that work, or the thousands of people who make it happen, that wasn't my intention. It was as close to an apology as Colbert could manage without admitting he was entirely in the wrong. The audience seemed to appreciate the gesture, responding with supportive applause. Now let's move on to our next guest, who I sincerely hope doesn't walk off the set, Colbert added with a self-deprecating smile, and the tension in the room eased slightly. But outside the studio, the story was just beginning. Videos of the confrontation were already going viral. News websites were publishing articles with headlines like, "Late Night Showdown," "Musk Walks Off Colbert After Heated Exchange," and "Tech Titan versus Talk Show Host, the interview that went off the rails." Social media was exploding with reactions. Some people sided with Colbert, praising him for holding a powerful billionaire accountable. Others defended Musk, arguing that Colbert had crossed a line from playful teasing into mean-spirited attacks. Everyone seemed to have an opinion, and the video clips were being shared millions of times. By morning, the confrontation was the top trending topic online. News shows played the clips on repeat, with panels of experts analyzing every word and gesture. Late-night comedians on other shows made jokes about it. Even serious business programs were discussing the potential impact on Tesla's stock price. Musk, true to form, took to social media the next day. Instead of continuing the fight, however, he surprised everyone with his response. "Last night wasn't my finest moment. Neither was it Colbert's. Maybe we both have something to learn about listening. I still believe in what I said about building versus criticizing, but I could have made my point without walking off. My companies and their missions are bigger than any TV show argument." The post immediately went viral, with many praising Musk for his measured response. Others remained critical, seeing it as damage control rather than genuine reflection. Colbert addressed the situation again on his show the following night, this time with a more thoughtful approach. "I've had some time to reflect on what happened last night," he said to the camera. "And while comedy sometimes requires pushing boundaries, there's a difference between challenging people and dismissing their work. Mr. Musk and I may not see eye to eye on everything, but the innovations he's championed deserve serious discussion alongside the jokes." He paused, then added with a slight smile, "That said, I still think the Cybertruck looks like it was designed by a kid with a ruler. But hey, that's just my opinion." The audience laughed, and the show went on. But something had changed. The confrontation had sparked a larger conversation about the role of comedy in public discourse, about how we talk about innovation and progress, and about the line between holding powerful people accountable and simply mocking them for entertainment. In the weeks that followed, the video continued to circulate. It became one of the most watched clips in late show history. Some network executives worried about the impact on the show's reputation and ability to book high-profile guests, while others celebrated the authenticity of the moment in an era of carefully scripted television. As for Musk and Colbert themselves, they didn't speak directly for months after the incident. But 6 months later, something unexpected happened. During a charity event in New York, they ran into each other backstage. Witnesses reported a brief but civil conversation, ending with a handshake. When asked about it later, Colbert simply said, "We're both grown-ups. We can disagree without being enemies." Musk's response, characteristically, came via social media. "Life's too short, and the problems we're facing too big to get stuck on past disagreements. Moving forward is what matters." The confrontation remained a legendary moment in late-night television history. a rare glimpse of raw emotion and genuine conflict in a format usually characterized by polished performances and rehearsed banter. Videos of it would continue to resurface for years, analyzed by communication experts, comedy writers, and business schools alike. In the end, the infamous Colbert-Musk showdown became more than just a viral moment. It became a case study in the complex relationship between media, technology, comedy, and power in the modern age, and a reminder that even in the carefully controlled world of television, real human emotions sometimes break through the surface, creating moments of unexpected authenticity that resonate far beyond the studio walls. And while neither man would ever call the confrontation a positive experience, both seemed to recognize that in the clash of their very different worlds, there was something valuable, a real conversation, however messy, about the proper balance between ambitious innovation and necessary criticism. A conversation that continued long after the studio lights had dimmed and the cameras had stopped rolling.